guys, Canna here. If you didn't know, there's been a Biblis update. Not only did she come out, an event also came out. Kind of just wanted to give my thoughts of the event in general, and also just the pros and cons, the tips and tricks, or a guide kind of to the event in general. Let's get into it. First and foremost, when you enter into the activity, you're going to be greeted by this adventure, and you have to clear out a bunch of this adventure stuff. This is your typical run-of-the-mill adventure. It doesn't require too much investment. After you've basically cleared everything, you've got your rewards, your Mologoras, your gold, your quests. You get locked at stage 9 and 10, or stage 10 right here. As you can see, it says you cannot enter for another about 5 days at the time of this making of the video. However, the activity that you're then introduced to, and like the main core aspect of this side story, is the Sunshine Garden, and this is a bit overwhelming. So let's just go over the pros and cons first and foremost of this kind of side story event as opposed to other ones, and then get into exactly what you're supposed to do with the activity, the side story event, whatever you want to call it. So first and foremost, the pros about the Sunshine Garden is that number one, you get a pet. Foodie Rudy is a cute pet, and regardless of how you feel about the pet, ultimately it's nice that they add different kinds of rewards to the side stories. It's not just the generic 78 piece of gear that rolls like garbage, or generic charms, which of course are very helpful, not to detract from how useful that is, but it is nice in order to get different kind of, you know, pets or different kind of cosmetics, frames, illustrations to kind of liven or bring life back into the game. Now, of course, with you getting this pet, the skills are random. However, you are able to use this appearance very easily. If I recall, since the new pet update, all that you have to do is just get a pet to whatever desired level that you have, or whatever desired level that you want, and then you just get to like merge the old characters with like a new character in like the pet performance or the pet appearance tab, and bing bada boom, and you get a new appearance for your pet. Now, the other thing that you might have noticed, or you might have heard from people doing the side story, is that the rewards aside from the pet appear pretty similar to that of a generic or a typical side story. You get resources like gold, penguins, charms, covenant bookmarks, or like the 5-star elemental tickets. And ultimately, since you do end up getting Mologoras too, this event is always going to be worth it if you need any of those resources, which 99.99% of you guys do. But the real big difference between this activity as opposed to the other side stories that we've been given in the past is that there's now a new introduced element of AFKing, or not really having to rush through the event. To be clear, what it really is that all you have to do is you just boot up to the side story once in a while. Maybe after 3 to 5 hours, you log in once a day. You click the little leaves in the back, and you get a number of warm sunlight that you can then use to upgrade your garden management. I won't go into too much detail about what you're supposed to do with that, and I'll explain why at the end, but just know that this is a pretty AFK event. And for those of you that are trying to play a little bit less, because maybe you're busy now that the holidays are starting to come around, and maybe you're spending more time with your family, or if you're in crunch hour for finals, or in school or something like that, this is a potentially very nice opportunity for you to lay low or kind of sit back and relax while everything kind of auto plays itself in the background. Now, again, before we get into an explanation of really what the event is, and I guess my critiques or my like thoughts about the event, let's get into the cons. First and foremost, based on kind of what I had just seen from like the UI, the direction, and I guess the general feeling of the event, it feels very open. It feels very open interpretation, and it's not very directed, which again is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. However, in terms of what you're supposed to do, what you're looking for, what you're aiming for, there is no straightforward guide as to what you have to do, the most optimal way to clear out the shop or clear out the rewards and the achievements. So in that sense, it is a little bit more vague than I'd prefer. However, if you have any sense of discovery or kind of common sense, basically, you'd understand that the event is pretty straightforward, and ultimately your choices don't matter too much. Now, one of the other flaws that you could kind of address when it comes to this event is the fact that technically one of the pros of the event is that you don't have to rush, and it's kind of at your own pace, and you kind of log in and you collect your event once in a while. However, the con or the other side of that coin is the fact that if you are someone that wants to rush the content very quickly, you kind of can't. Now, we don't really know what the rest of the weeks have in store for us. However, if you're saving everything until the very last day and rushing everything through, you might find some trouble, because ultimately what I found is that you kind of have to just sit here, gather as many resources as possible, upgrade the plans about once per day so that you can increase your general flow of resources, and only then can you kind of keep up to date with the achievements, the rewards that you get, etc, etc. Long story short, as opposed to other side story or any other PvE event, there is a very, very hard time gate that isn't a time gate as in after 7 days, you can now clear everything all at once. It's a hard, you have to just sit here and wait with your plant levels kind of time gate. This may appeal to some people, again, that are playing kind of casually once a day, but for those of you that may be coming into the event late, we don't really know if that is going to be a problem or if they'll add something in the future where you can kind of cumulatively, you know, adapt or get more points so you can clear out the entire shop or the achievements later. That being said, though, a lot of the cons of this event are not really that big a deal. They're kind of minor nuisances for players that are terribly addicted to the gacha game as opposed to a real like awful aspect of the game. Now, the final point that I want to discuss actually does feel like somewhat of a difficult or a problem, and it's the fact that with the way that the event works right now, you have these leaves in the background that you can collect for direct or for warm sunlight. However, on occasion, as you can see with Maya, you can click on some of the managers or the characters that are here and you gain a bonus to your overall currency. The issue with this, though, is that as you can kind of tell, some of the chibis or the managers walk around and they go off screen, as you can see with the Litica here. And now you may be thinking to yourself, well, Connor, all you have to do is just scroll very quickly, simply in order to get the Litica. However, this is a very, very long stage. As you can see, if you just drag, you couldn't even tell that one of my managers, Biblis, was all the way on the left side. And currently, all you see are 2 managers on screen right now. However, the heart claim is something that's kind of time limited, if I'm not mistaken, or they like kind of disappear. So unless if you are actively looking for it, they can disappear kind of quickly. And unfortunately, if you are someone that's trying to sit here actively watching and trying to claim all your leaves or your rewards, in order for you to even get to the other side of the map, you kind of have to traverse a very non-responsive or a very like kind of unsatisfying screen to do so. Again, not like the biggest issue in terms of like they didn't release any pay to win aspects, they didn't break the game in any way. But if you are, let's say, on the right side and you have like a number of managers, or if you're claiming like a leaf or something on the right side, and you have to very slowly but surely kind of frustratingly pull over to the left side in order to see the other managers on the other side, that is not a very enjoyable experience. So in terms of quality of life, I hope that they may fix that in the future. And aside from the time gating that feels a bit unnecessary, I definitely feel like this event is pretty decent. It gives you decent rewards. We have a new pet, which we haven't gotten in a while. And ultimately, since we get the molas, the charms, the gold, I can't complain, especially when it's AFK. Now, you made it this far, and you're probably still wondering, well, Connor, how do I clear the event? What's the best way to clear the event? And like I kind of mentioned earlier, there is no real best way to clear the event. And now I know you're probably booing like, oh my gosh, he didn't tell me how to clear the event. Oh my god, Connor, you're scamming. But the honest to God truth is that based on what I see from the garden management, there are a couple things that you could prioritize. In other words, getting or unlocking a lot of the different plants, because technically when you get at least 1 level, you get a reward. And then in terms of tiering or levels, you have to get to like level 1, level 5, and level 10 in order to gain an achievement or a new reward set. But if you're just looking for gold, especially if you're just trying to make the most out of your time spent and get as much as you can, it is probably worth it to unlock each plant or each new introduced plant to at least level 1 when you have the ability to. And of course, since you are ultimately going to upgrade all of the plants to level 10 anyways in order to get all the rewards, it doesn't really make sense to have like a specific priority for things. You could focus on upgrading a plant that has Molagoras instead of penguins or charms or something. But ultimately, when you unlock the plant or the level of your garden that you have to unlock in order to unlock some of the plants will ultimately dictate how you end up investing your flowers or how you end up investing your currency anyways. Now, what I mean by that is that you could see like the Foodie Rudy that we mentioned before is a plant, but in order for you to even unlock Foodie Rudy, you have to be garden level 6. As you can see under some of these plants, it gives you the rate or the plant effect that you get. So in this case with the Lucrumia, I don't know if that's how you say its name, but you get 154 of these leaves per second, and you also get a level up EXP that increases your overall level, that lets you then upgrade your plants, that then lets you upgrade your garden, unlock new skills or bonuses like these, like operate sprinklers or Biblis's touch or mobilize managers. Despite all these bells and whistles though, there is no real right way or forced method for how you want to upgrade things. If you decide to stick with upgrading all of Pollinia to level 10 before you end up getting Senia as a plant, then so be it. But the main point of the event is that after you do the initial adventure stages and until you reach week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. All you are kind of allowed to do is just upgrade your garden through here for the potential to get like a new skill, upgrade your plants in order to get better bonuses, unlock certain rewards at level 10, etc. And of course, you can always upgrade the facilities, but these are kind of expensive. And at the end of the day, guys, even if you have all this min-maxing or you try to do the math on what the fastest way to clear this event is, we don't know what the rest of the event is going to entail. And ultimately, at least for this first half of the event, all you have to do is just AFK, log on once a day, claim your rewards, and then move on. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much all that this event has to it. I know it looks a lot more intimidating with all like the different recommendations of what people are doing in order to clear it, or in order, like, should you be watching it actively, or should you be, you know, waking up at a certain time, or like, you know, staying on the screen in order to collect leaves. And ultimately, while you could end up min-maxing things like that, I know plenty of people that have gone further than I have, and they're getting time gated anyways, so it doesn't really matter much. What you should be focusing on is just, again, logging on once a day so you can at least spend the warm energy that you get daily, so you can upgrade your garden, so you can upgrade your plants, get more currency, get more rewards, and then ultimately wait until, I guess, what, 4 or 5 days for the next part of the event to show up and see if there's anything new. That's going to be it for this video though, guys. I hope you enjoyed or you learned something. This event, as I mentioned before, is pretty cool. Again, there's not much structure to it. It feels kind of bare bones. It is a bit of like a management simulator, which I think is kind of cool, kind of decent. But ultimately, we'll see how it ends up panning out. I'm kind of just glad it's not some Summer Lethe event where we're getting milked for imprints. But anyways, guys, again, like I mentioned, that's going to be it. Make sure to check out the rest of my platforms. I stream on YouTube and Twitch. Make sure to check out one of those platforms if you end up hanging out or if you see me. But yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios.